What will it take to ensure that Aftab gets the maximum and swiftest punishment? Also, the Ukraine war shadow on G20. What's happened in Bali? We'll find out more. And on the Morbi tragedy, the Gujarat High Court has cracked the whip. Will the Gujarat government now wake up? All that and more. But first, the 9 headlines at 9 tonight. More details emerge in the spine-chilling murder in Delhi. Aftab Poonawala, accused of killing girlfriend Shraddha, allegedly cut her body in the bathroom, kept the shower on to allow the blood to flow. The police tracks the exact incident. Consensus on stopping the war in Ukraine at the G20 meet in Bali. This on a day when missiles land in Poland, leaving 2 dead. Warsaw says strike in Poland likely an accident by the Ukraine air defense. Prime Minister Modi holds talks with UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. 3,000 visas for young professionals from India cleared shortly after the meeting. UK Prime Minister tweets in Hindi, says, "Ek mazboot dosti." High drama in poll-bound Gujarat after the Aam Aadmi Party's Surat East candidate Kanchan Jariwala withdraws after being missing for several hours. AAP alleges BJP kidnapped Jariwala. Sisodia protests outside the EC office. AAP MLA Akhilesh Party's kin aides arrested for allegedly taking bribes for promising tickets for the Delhi MCD polls. Complainant releases sting operation as well. AAP rejects the charges. Gujarat High Court slams the Morbi civic body over a delay in filing status report despite 2 notices, as civic body misses today's 4:30 p.m. deadline to be fined 1 lakh rupees. Congress leader Ajay Maken quits as the Congress Rajasthan General Secretary, cites High Command's non-action against Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot's rebellion. Former US President Donald Trump throws his hat in the ring for the 2024 race to the White House, announces a bid for presidency, says it's time to make America great again. Ivanka missing from the campaign stump. NASA's most powerful rocket Artemis 1 lifts off from Earth. The Orion spacecraft's success could pave the way for people to climb aboard for future missions to go to the lunar surface. But our top focus remains the developments that are taking place in the sensational Delhi murder, most foul in the last 24 hours. The Delhi police, now searching the Chhatarpur forest, have recovered 10 bones from the forest, which seems to be of the lower back of Shraddha, who, remember, was cut to pieces by her live-in companion Aftab. Shraddha's father will now be called in for a DNA sample. The hunt continues for Shraddha's skull. A box of gloves were also found at Aftab's residence, which he reportedly used to ensure he didn't get any of Shraddha's blood on his hands while disposing of her body and her parts over nearly 2 weeks. The Delhi police has reportedly also found blood stains in Aftab's kitchen. This even as the police claimed Shraddha's body was cut to pieces in the bathroom and Aftab kept the shower on to ensure the body can be easily cut and the blood flows out easily. In a chilling confession, Aftab has reportedly told the Delhi police that he tried killing Shraddha once in the past as well, but since she started crying, he changed his mind. He claims at that time too, he thought of killing her following an argument over marriage. Now, days after arresting the murderer Aftab, the Delhi police says it will run a narco test on him. A court in Delhi has also given the go-ahead for the test, but remember, a narco test is not admissible as evidence in court. That's right, a murder most foul, a murder that has shocked and outraged the country. Shraddha's body was allegedly chopped up into 35 parts by her live-in partner Aftab. But that's not where it ends. There are still several missing links, from her missing body parts to the actual murder weapon. The police still have many dots to connect in this gruesome murder. It's our top focus.
One of India's most blood-curdling murders. Despite the mind-numbing findings and horrifying revelations, there are several missing links which the cops are still groping for. While the police have found 10 to 12 pieces of body parts, including pelvic bones, DNA match results are awaited. Crucially, most remains of Shraddha's body, including her head, are yet to be traced. The severed head was allegedly kept in the fridge by Aftab and disposed of last, and he kept looking at it to keep Shraddha's memory alive.
We are right now in the same forest where Aftab used to bring the body parts of Shraddha, and he used to throw them here in this dense forest. And now, today, the police teams have been here. They're trying to find more and more evidences as far as that particular murder is concerned.
The police have so far been unable to recover the weapon, a saw that Aftab used to cut off Shraddha into pieces. Police claims he is constantly changing statements and isn't giving any clarity on the weapon used to cut Shraddha into 35 pieces. As Aftab used to make 2 a.m. trips every day to dispose of his slain girlfriend's body parts, cops suspect he used a carry bag or a backpack. Finding it can join many missing dots. Aftab tried his best to hide the murder by removing every bit of physical evidence that he could. He, however, failed in eliminating digital evidence. He used Shraddha's phone, interacted with her friends after killing her, and the location was tracked back to Delhi, getting him eventually arrested by the Delhi police. But cops are yet to find the phone. Aftab managed to dispose of blood-stained clothes in a garbage van right after strangling Shraddha and cutting her body. But when the police visited his house, they found it cleaned with chemicals to wipe out blood stains and DNA traces. With many missing links in the case, the Delhi and Mumbai police have a lot on their plate. With Akshay Dongre, Rahul Gautam and Shreya Chatterjee in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
So how will justice be ensured for Shraddha? Is this an open and shut case? What are still the challenges that lie ahead for the police to ensure that Aftab is successfully convicted? What are the lessons that one can learn from this case? These are just some of the questions we'll raise tonight. Swati Maliwal is chairperson of the Delhi Commission of Women. She joins us. Kiran Bedi is former IPS officer. Tanveer Ahmed Mir is senior criminal lawyer. And Adarsh Mishra is a forensic expert. Appreciate all of you joining us. I'll come to you first, Swati, because you've publicly called for the swiftest and the surest maximum punishment for Aftab. Do you want to be more specific? Because in previous cases like the Tandoor murder case, if you can recall, Sushil Sharma in 1995 got life imprisonment and is now out after having served 22 years in jail. Are you saying that you want the maximum punishment, i.e. death penalty for Aftab?
Absolutely, Rajdeep sir, because you see the condition, the manner in which this crime was executed, it is one of the most brutal and most gruesome crimes ever. I've been in the position of the Delhi Commission for Women chairperson for the past 7 years. I can say on record that this is one of the most scary cases that I have come across. We have issued a notice to the Delhi police because I want to understand under what circumstances does a girl disappear into thin air in the state of Delhi 6 months back and yet no action was taken. There was no report that was made, and the fact that Aftab was able to kill her brutally, cut her off into 36 pieces, store these pieces in the fridge, and then every day at a particular time go out and dispose these pieces across different parts of Delhi. I really don't understand what kind of a policing we have and what kind of a society we have. So we've issued a notice to the Delhi police because I want the best investigation to happen in this case so that the maximum punishment is given to Aftab. Apart from that, I also want to understand from Delhi police, did Shraddha file any complaint with them? Was a PCR call made? Was any kind of a complaint for domestic violence or sexual abuse against Aftab reported in the past? I think all that information is also very crucial because one needs to understand what is it that the Delhi police did in order to prevent a crime like this. At the end of the day, I am extremely shocked. It's the most gruesome murder. It is very disturbing, and I want that the maximum punishment should be given to this man because it is clearly an act of a well thought and planned murder. It is not something that he did in, some anger. It is clearly something that he planned, that he thought through, and he executed it in the most horrible manner possible. And if you look at it, I have also been hearing from the media all these reports coming in where it is being said that in the fridge that he stored Shraddha's head and other body parts, he also stored his own food there. He brought women from dating sites into his own house when her Shraddha's body parts were still there in the fridge. So what kind of a person does that? Clearly the strongest investigation needs to happen, and we have seen.
No, before I go to my other guests who will look at the investigation aspects, all I'm asking you is, while it's very easy to today say what was the Delhi police doing, this is a psychotic killer clearly. Someone, who was unhinged in many ways, but also ruthless and cold-blooded in the way he killed. The fact is, crimes against women, Delhi, Swati Maliwal is still seen as a city unsafe for women. So, we can blame the Delhi police and question them, but there will be questions. I mean, Aftab's case cannot be used to target in a way policing. There's a larger issue of people like Aftab, and there may be others out there who perhaps are individuals who are out there to be cold-blooded killers.
No, I totally agree. I'm not just targeting the police. I'm of course asking this very relevant question as to what really happened. How did this girl just disappear into thin air and there was absolutely no trace? I'm also asking a question about the kind of society that we live in. Just because this girl was in a live-in relationship, she got estranged from her own family and friends, and then after that there was absolutely no support system for her. So even the place that she was living in, her neighbors, nobody actually realized that this girl has gone missing. So it raises a very large issue about how the crimes against women in the capital are really increasing, and there is absolute lack of support systems. At least in the cases where a couple fear honor killing, there are certain judgments by the Supreme Court, there are judgments by honorable high courts, and steps are taken in order to give them protection. But what happens when a girl like this enters a live-in relationship with her own choice and gets estranged from her family, and then there is no support system? So in fact, we've been discussing that what all policy changes they need to be done, because girls like that should at least have some support system where they can walk in and they can explain that the relationship is getting toxic and probably get some counseling and get some help. So I feel that at the end of the day, Aftab needs to be given the strongest punishment, but this is also an issue where we need to have the Delhi police functioning at its level best, because we don't want the repeat of a Chhavla gang rape and murder case where after 10 years the men were let off because there was a shoddy investigation.
That's an important point you make, that the last thing we want is a repeat of what just happened in that case a few days ago, where the Supreme Court no less let off the gang rapists in that case in Delhi. But Kiran Bedi, do you fear that this case can also in some way go down that route, or do you believe this is an open and shut case? We don't have the murder weapon at the moment. We will have to see what kind of a confession Aftab has made. Do you see this to be an open and shut case?
I do. I do see this as an open and shut case, because the kind of recoveries they're making, seizures they're making under Section 27 of the Indian Evidence Act, which is by the accused directed recovery. It's not a planted recovery. It's an accused directed. This is relevant. And this has very heavy evidence. Number one, the kind of evidence they're finding in the house, the kind of evidence they get recovering the body parts Third is the kind of information technology which they will get of his prior conduct and post conduct will settle the narrative. And well, the many critical elements are yet to be recovered. One is the weapon, which he has yet to recover. I think they're going for a narco test and the liar detect. Doesn't matter if it's not relevant for court. Doesn't matter. But it will give them the peep into the mind of the man to understand the mens rea. It will be another tool for investigation. But I'm not investigating this case on this channel. I have something else to say. Rajdeep, if I have your permission.
Please go ahead.
That is, that I think we do not know the real extent and pattern of domestic violence in this country. And I don't think we ventured out to do any national survey, state-wise national survey. If we can do a sanitation Swachhta survey, we can do a health survey, we can do many other scheme survey. We need to get into a security survey concerning women domestic violence. The pattern, extent, state-wise, responses, and how the women are dealing with it. That is when, like Swati said, I think will emerge strategies and policies. And it should be an annual survey. I think it should be annual social audit. I would call it
so
social audit.
you're seeing this as a violence, you're seeing this as the kind of violence that you believe takes place behind four walls in many homes. In this case, of course, reaches this gruesome level where the person chooses to allegedly chop off his girlfriend into several bits. You're saying this is, you see a troubling pattern that has not been looked at often enough. Some might result in just plain domestic violence. Here there is murder of the most foul kind. Am I correct?
I think, yes, many women are suffering very heavy violence short of this. And I think they're living in prisons of their own and probably living for, say, social stigma, parents' care, children's care, etc. I think we do not know. And I think it will be Pandora's box opened. I think we need to know Domestic Violence Act is not enough because this is not being used enough, not being reported enough, and not being expedited enough and getting resolved enough. Okay. So I think we need to also look at the way the act is being used and how much is it known. I'm sure there's an ignorance about it amongst the women themselves.
I'm going to take that to you, Tanveer Ahmed Munir, to look at for a moment, the investigation itself. Do you believe it's an open and shut case, Tanveer, or do you believe that there will be challenges for the police? A narco test is not admissible. Is a confession that if they've got a confession from Aftab enough then to nail him?
You see, no investigation can ever be said to be as a case in black and white where you can return a finding of guilt tomorrow morning. And one thing is here that there is no eyewitness account. So the case and the trial will be on principles of circumstantial evidence, which means that in a case of circumstantial evidence, the prosecution always has a far more difficult job in comparison to an ocular testimony in a court of law. Now, what here the cops should do is, number one, don't relegate their cases only to confessions or to the last seen theory that the girl was living in an apartment and if she disappeared, then you must explain where she went. That's a very weak charge and that gets blown away. A few stains in kitchen of a blood will not be good evidence by any stretch of imagination to return a finding of guilt. But I agree one thing, that in a case of circumstantial evidence, if the accused, pursuant to his confession, takes the cops to places where he dumps important evidence, for example, body parts, then if that is the way the information is garnered by police, then in that circumstantial evidence case, that is a very strong piece of evidence and a strong circumstance tomorrow to hold the person as guilty.
So you're saying that you will need circumstantial evidence to back the confession that the police has allegedly extracted from Aftab. Am I correct?
The confession is absolutely inadmissible evidence and will not come to the aid of the cops at all.
Okay. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
But the other pieces of evidence, for example, recovery of bones, now that's where your fourth speaker will become important is that if the DNA is traced and matched, then a DNA expert can testify and bring it and drive home the prosecution case that this is the bone of the deceased. And if the accused points out the place where bones have been recovered, then that's a solid piece of evidence. Simultaneously, now any defense counsel worth his salt in this case is going to take a defense of insanity. You see, our society today is plagued with mental illness. And this person is at the moment, in terms of the horrific act which is attributed to him as alleged and not proved in a court of law, he certainly is a case of extreme schizophrenia, paranoia. He has a psychotic behavior. At what point of time did he commit the murder? We don't know. Now, chopping the body pieces and then dumping them is an act of what you call as desecration of the evidence, so as to save yourself from legal punishment. Now, that is only 201, and the main case will be 302. So any defense counsel will certainly say that, look here, Your Honor, my client is insane, and claim certain defenses. So what I would expect the cops also to do is to send him for a psychiatric analysis as well, and rule out the possibility of what you call as legal insanity, so that tomorrow is not available as a defense, or maybe available as a defense.
Interesting the way you're putting it and giving our viewers a sense of what actually Aftab's lawyer may well do, claim insanity, but the forensic challenge, Adarsh Mishra, is one of the immediate challenges. A DNA test likely on Shraddha's father. How easy or how difficult is this? Once the body parts are located, is it easy in a case like this to ensure complete 100% forensics?
If we have the body parts of the victim, and we have the blood profile, like blood sample of the parents of the victim, so DNA can be extracted from the parents as well as from the body part, means the chopped body part of the victim. See, in case if the skin or tissues are decomposed, then further DNA can be extracted from the bones also. So that is very important. Even if in case the face of the victim is not identifiable due to decomposition, like if later on the police get the face part of face part, then if it is decomposed, means like only skull is left, then DNA like superimposition or like facial superimposition can be done,
right,
which may reveal that this face belongs to the Shraddha or not.
Okay.
Other than DNA profiling.
Okay, let me take that to Kiran Bedi. In terms of Kiran Bedi, you might recall the Sushil Sharma case, and that was the Tandoor murder of 1995. And there was attempts made by Sushil Sharma and his lawyers to somehow or the other ensure or attempt to try and suggest that Sushil Sharma should be given a lesser punishment. Eventually, he was given a life. There was an attempt made to suggest it's rarest of rare, he should get death. He got life in the end. One of the pleas that Tanveer Ahmed Mir has suggested Aftab's lawyers could do is insanity. Is there a worry that in such cases, once the camera gaze goes off, there is a tendency of courts in a way not to treat this as rarest of rare, but just to treat it as an insane act, and insanity then becomes a defense? Do you go along with what Swati Maliwal said, give him maximum punishment?
Well, I first of all agree with the lawyer who just spoke before me, that we need to first of all rule out his insanity defense plea in anticipation. I think the investigation should anticipate the likely defenses which the defense lawyer will come up with. And one of these would be that he kept seeing her head in the fridge every time, thinking of her. No, the disposal, I believe, of the head as last is not insanity, but it was to minimize the disclosure of her identity. So somehow see so that he doesn't get caught. I think so we need to do what the lawyer has said, rule out temporary or legal insanities, whatever, so that this defense plea is preempted, number one. What did Swati say?
Swati wanted maximum punishment.
And I would want day-to-day trial in the next 6 months. I want expeditious trial going live.
You're saying go for a fast-track court, expeditious day-to-day trial. Am I correct?
Yes.
Because, in the Naina Sani Tandoor murder case, the Sushil Sharma accused case, Tanveer Ahmed Mir, Naina Sani killed on July 2, 1995. Body allegedly chopped into pieces, put into the tandoor to burn. It was in 2003 that a Delhi court awarded him the death sentence. High Court upheld it in 2007. In 2013, 18 years later, the Supreme Court commuted it to life term. In 2018, he walked out of jail after 29 years. Could this case head that way?
It could
Well,
if we don't keep the pressure on.
You're
If
saying
the
if you
DP
don't,
keep the
you're
pressure
saying,
on for a
Kiran,
fast track.
you're saying if you don't fast track it, that could happen. Tanveer Ahmed Mir, is that something, is this going to be a long drawn out case?
Normally, it will be. See, Rajdeep, what plagues our courts today is a lot of cases, less judges. So if you go typically to a Delhi court in a sessions trial case, for example, in Patiala House courts or Saket courts, now the judges have at least nothing less than 20 to 25 cases of where evidence is to be recorded. Now, if two witnesses come in one case, you're done for the day. Therefore, ordinarily, what happens is that even for people who are in custody, the normal date is given of 2 months, which means 6 dates a year. Now, therefore, the delays are there just because we are overburdened and we don't have. But if there is an order, for example, if the High Court says that we want this case to be done and dusted in about 8 months or within 1 year period of time, then obviously a sessions court which is going to try this murder, this horrific murder, is going to organize his diary in a particular manner and will also call upon the defense counsels to get geared up and start the trial. See, for example, in Unnao rape case, the then Honorable Chief Justice said that finish me the trial in 40 days. I went to defend the accused. We finished it in 32 days. So it's not that it can't be done. At the end of the day, what you need to do is to have a fair result. In a democracy, what we should be bothered about is that the prosecution gets a very good chance to build up its case. The defense also gets a good chance to build up its case. And, finally, the justice is served.
But in normal, I'm looking at cases like this, similar kind of cases, the Neeraj Grover murder case, where a TV executive was killed in Mumbai, body dismembered, chopped body parts were set to fire in a forest, killed by a naval officer.
Yes.
And in that case, the local court sentenced the naval officer to 10-year imprisonment, and Maria Susairaj, who was his accomplice, was sentenced to 3 years for destroying evidence. The Nithari serial murders, interestingly, December 2006, we are now in 2022, while the murderers are lodged in Dasna jail, their appeals are still pending. So presumably, even if Aftab gets a life imprisonment, he will appeal to it and perhaps come out 15, 16, 18 years down the line.
Well, that actually, you see, if a person has to come out, see, we don't work like United States where somebody gets 250 years in prison. We work in a life sentence mechanism where life is life. Unless and until the sentence review board doesn't basically, after considerable period of time spent in custody, like 20 years, 18 years of actual time done, decide that, all right, fine, it's time for you to integrate back into the society. So we may recommend your candidature for an early release. That's also a part of the law. That's a part of the system. That's how a Sushil Sharma, tomorrow is released in a tandoor cart. And, to a larger extent, Rajdeep, yes, we are going through a very violent phase. Now, yesterday you saw a man in Madhya Pradesh slitting the throat of his girlfriend, just because he suspected her of adultery, and taping it on video and telecasting it to the whole world. Last year, a person, murdered his pregnant wife, chopped her into pieces in Bihar because he was a railway employee, got a promotion and wanted 4 lakh rupees more from his father-in-law. So somewhere, the anxiety into people to resort to violent disorders is on great rise.
So therefore, how do you therefore use a sentence as a deterrent? Kiran Bedi, you want a final word on that?
Just one word. Let this in the event he narrowly escapes the death sentence. Let the sentence be life imprisonment till death inside the prison. I think that will be a very heavy penalty.
Yes, Tanveer, you wanted to respond to that.
This Supreme Court, Madam Bedi, has said that life means life. Now, no court says that life means 14 years or life means 20 years or life means 25 years. Life is made that you have to naturally die in a prison. But then the other laws, the other rules, the jail manuals come into play where somebody is done, if you had a single case against you and you did say about 25 years in custody, and over the last 24 years, your behavior has been fine. Is it time for reintegration of that person into society? So we have a committee for that all over the states, all over the country. These are bureaucrats, these are psychologists, these are doctors, these are people who stand in the society and they decide it. That's also a part of the law. And reintegration, will be like right now, it's good investigation, proper investigation. Don't relegate, don't keep it loose. Try and basically get evidences. You are in a case of circumstantial evidence. There is no direct evidence, so beware. If one of the circumstances falls apart, like Rajdeep in Indrani Peter Mukherjee's case, the bones which were found were examined by forensics. Now, one forensic says there is no DNA. Another forensic says there is little DNA. Now, any defense expert will come and testify and demolish these experts. Tomorrow you will have an acquittal. Now everybody is on bail.
So
That's how the law works.
So you're saying ensure first that you have a foolproof case where nothing is
Absolutely.
left to chance, and
Absolutely.
then perhaps go what Dr. Bedi is saying, ensure that it is fast tracked. But the first step is to ensure a complete foolproof investigation as an open and shut case. As I said, this is a dastardly case that has shocked and
That's
outraged us.
exactly how you will subserve the interest of society.
Okay. I appreciate my guest joining us on the show tonight. This is a case that has shocked us because of the sheer brutality involved of the individual Aftab. But the fact is, and this was mentioned in this discussion, Shraddha's gruesome murder is not the only one that will send shockwaves across the country. Another grisly killing has come to light, this time not in the national capital, so perhaps out of the headlines, from Madhya Pradesh, where a man allegedly killed a woman, shot a video with the victim's body and posted it on social media, warning that infidelity would bring about murder. The manhunt is now on for the accused. Get Real India.
बेवफाई नहीं करने का बेवफाई जितने बेवफाई करते हैं ऐसे मेरी बड़ी
Gruesome, gory, and gut-wrenching. This is the video of a man boasting about killing his 25-year-old girlfriend and horrifyingly shows her lying in a pool of blood, her throat slit but still alive. With blaring music, he says in the video,
बेवफाई नहीं करने का बेवफाई
"Bebafai nahi karne ka," meaning do not be unfaithful. An indication that he committed this crime because the victim was unfaithful.
बेवफाई नहीं करने का बेवफाई जितने बेवफाई करते हैं ऐसे मेरी बड़ी
This monster, Abhijit Patidar, committed this act on November 8 and he's still on the run. That is right. This murderer is yet to be nabbed, and in a video he's put out on social media, he can be heard defending himself.
शिल्पा शर्मा को खत्म करने में मेरे और मेरे पार्टनर का दोनों का हाथ है, और अब इस मैटर में सिर्फ मुझे अकेले को फंसाया जा रहा है, और मेरे पार्टनर से पैसों के लालच में उसने जो भी मेरे पार्टनर को ब्लैकमेल किया, इसी वजह से शिल्पा शर्मा को मैंने मारा है.
Cops have arrested the man named by Abhijit in the video as he claimed he murdered 25-year-old Shilpa on the instructions of his business partner.
अभी जो प्रथम दृष्टया है वहाँ पे घटना स्थल के आसपास कुछ ब्लेड्स पाई गई थी, और पीएम में भी ऐसा है कि कोई शार्प ऑब्जेक्ट का इस्तेमाल किया गया. तो अब ये पीएम के रिपोर्ट पे हम उनका एनालिसिस लेके हम उस पर अंतिम निष्कर्ष.
First, the Delhi murder horror, and now this Jabalpur video has seen shock waves across the nation. But there have been more such spine-chilling killings in the last few days. In Bengal's Shiliguri, a woman's mutilated body was found. The victim was identified as Riya Bishwas, who was brutally murdered by her lover. The murderer, Kiran Debnath, took his own life after killing Riya and streamed it live on social media. A common thread in all of these crimes: women paying with their lives and killed by men they trusted, by their lovers for so petty reason or the other. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's turn from there to all the big election stories of the day. Ahead of the big civic polls in Delhi, Delhi's anti-corruption branch today arrested 3 people, including the brother-in-law of an AAP MLA Akhilesh Tripathi, in a cash for ticket case. AAP MLA's brother-in-law Om Singh, his PA Vishal Pandey and another associate Prince Raghuvanshi are accused of selling party tickets. It's alleged that the MLA Akhilesh had demanded 90 lakh rupees in exchange for getting a ticket. The complainant approached the police after not getting it and then got a sting operation done on it.
हेलो हाँ भैया ओम भैया से बात करो। क्या नाम तेरा बेटा? प्रिंस से बात कर
भैया। 2 की गड्डी कम बता रहे हैं तो 2,00,000 के दिए थे उन्होंने।
ये काउंट कितने है बता दो।
ये 33 है। कल करा देंगे है
भैया।
अगर है ऐसा तो मैं कल तक दिखवा लेता हूँ ऐसे।
चलो विधायक जी को बता देना कि 2 काम कम है, 33 लाख रुपए।
The Aam Aadmi Party finds itself though in another controversy in Gujarat too, where its candidate Kanchan Jariwala has withdrawn his nomination from the Surat East constituency. AAP leaders claim Jariwala was kidnapped by the BJP on Tuesday and forced to withdraw his nomination. AAP has asked the EC to put off the election in the constituency. The candidate himself says that he was under pressure from local AAP workers to pay up, which is why he withdrew. What's the true story? Take a look.
High drama in battleground Gujarat. The Aam Aadmi Party's Surat East candidate Kanchan Jariwala allegedly goes missing for hours, prompting his party to level charges of kidnapping against the BJP.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने आम आदमी पार्टी के उम्मीदवार को किडनैप कर लिया है।
Moments after Aam Aadmi Party made its big claim, Jariwala surfaced at the Election Commission office in Ahmedabad and withdrew his candidature amid heavy police deployment. Aam Aadmi Party leaders tweeted a video showing Jariwala being taken by police officials to claim the BJP and the state police had forced their candidate to take back his nomination.
जो आदमी अभी तक लड़ रहा था अचानक वो गायब हो जाता है और फिर केवल नॉमिनेशन वापस लेकर फिर से गायब हो जाता है। तो पूरा इलेक्शन प्रोसेस क्वेश्चन में है, फ्री एंड फेयर इलेक्शन नहीं है। तो आप फ्री एंड फेयर इलेक्शन के लिए इसकी इंक्वायरी कराइए और इस पर्टिकुलर सीट पे आप इलेक्शन को होल्ड करिए। थोड़े दिन बाद जब सारी चीजें सामने आ जाएं उसके बाद इलेक्शन।
Delhi's Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia staged a dharna in the national capital outside the Election Commission's office. A team of Aam Aadmi Party leaders led by Sisodia submitted a petition to the EC urging it to put the elections in Surat East on hold.
किडनैप हुआ नहीं है। मैं मेरा फैमिली के साथ, मेरा सगा संबंधी के साथ मैं मानसिक तनाव में आ गया था, इसलिए मैंने कुर्सी छोड़ दिया ना। मैं मेरे मानसिक तनाव में आया था। कब से हैं आप मानसिक तनाव? कब से हैं? मैं 3 दिन से मानसिक तनाव में चल रहा था।
अच्छा, और उसी के चलते आज आपने अपना नॉमिनेशन वापस ले लिया?
जी जी।
If the EC does not pull off elections, Aam Aadmi Party may have no candidate in Surat East now. The withdrawal of nomination by Jariwala has left the party deeply embarrassed. With Gopi Manyar in Ahmedabad, Pankaj Upadhyay in Surat and Amit Bharadwaj in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's stay with Gujarat. It's been over 2 weeks since 135 people lost their lives in the tragic Morbi bridge collapse. The Morbi Municipal Corporation finally submitted an affidavit in the Gujarat High Court today after repeated warnings by the judges. The new document submitted by the local body makes more shocking revelations. But the whereabouts of the contractor and the company which was given the contract for renovating the bridge are still not known. The top brass of the company, Oriva, are yet to be named in any FIR. Is there an attempt, therefore, to whitewash the crime? Take a look.
More than 2 weeks after 135 people died in bridge collapse in Morbi, the Gujarat High Court has ripped into the municipal corporation. After failing to appear in the case on Tuesday, the civic body did not file an affidavit in the matter on Wednesday as well. A bench comprising Chief Justice Arvind Kumar and Justice Ashutosh J. Shastri set a 4:30 p.m. deadline for the Morbi Municipal Corporation to file the document, which it complied with. In its affidavit, the civic body said Oreva Group company Ajanta had informed it in December 2021 that the bridge is in critical condition. The bridge, however, remained open to public from December 2021 to March 2022 despite its bad condition. The suspension bridge was under maintenance from March 2022 to October 25, 2022. The municipal corporation claims Ajanta opened bridge on October 26 without permission or intimation. The civic body admitted that it cleared the maintenance contract with Ajanta. The High Court on Tuesday had sought answers from the state government and the municipality over many key aspects of the deal with the Oreva Group. The High Court asked why was the bridge maintenance contract awarded to the Oreva Group without any tender. The court asked why was Oreva maintaining the bridge from 2017 to 2020 even after a 2008 MOU expired. Even in the new MOU signed in 2020, the court said it is not clear who has the responsibility of getting the bridge fitness certified. The court asked the Gujarat government why it did not supersede the municipal body using powers under Section 263 of the Gujarat Municipalities Act, as prima facie the municipality had defaulted. The state government informed the High Court that at the time of the incident, over 300 people were possibly present on the suspension bridge, which has a capacity of 25. While the High Court halted up the Morbi municipality over its contract with Oreva Group, the FIR still doesn't name either Oreva chairman Jaisukh Patel or municipal officials. The company's top brass, including Jaisukh Patel, have not been reachable since the mishap.
Over 50 to 60 employees who work in this Oreva Group have been asked to stay at home, not to join the office. Over 15 days after the incident, let me tell you, this office is entirely shut down. And after the incident, the Oreva Group's management and the director are completely untraceable.
After the initial flurry of arrests that saw the police take into custody 9 clerks and junior officers of Oreva, there has been no significant movement in the case. The slow pace of investigation is leading to questions over the seriousness of the whole exercise. With Nalini Sharma and Saurabh Vakhtania, Bureau Report, India Today.
And I spoke a short while ago to Jai Narayan Vyas, former Gujarat Health Minister who has quit the BJP just 2 weeks ago. The BJP officially doesn't want to comment on Morbi. Mr. Vyas, no one from the Gujarat government even wants to comment at the moment on the strictures or the observations of the High Court. But I must ask you the question because you were in the party then. Is it true what the High Court has said that no tenders were floated before handing out the maintenance contract for this bridge to the Oreva Group? What is your information, sir?
Well, I think there are so many flaws in the whole deal I have seen the contract agreement, and there are many things undefined. So I would always say that this was a contract worked out in hurry, wherein the intention may not be bad, but the implementation and possible casualties like this were perhaps not foreseen, neither the remedies were suggested. So I think I would have gone for much detailed memorandum of understanding, making provision for auditors of the safety, making provisions for in case the repairs are required to be done, who will certify it, who will prepare the tenders, who will decide the specifications. Nothing of that sort is there. All right, Oreva is a world's #1 company today manufacturing the wall clock. But that is not something that qualifies them automatically to understand the nitty-gritties of a bridge, and that too a cable bridge.
So let me ask you in conclusion, when you say that a proper MOU was not put in place with this company Oreva, the fear is some are expressing this was a sweetheart deal, a quid pro quo, which is why even Oreva officials are not being touched at the moment. Do you think that this is the way the deal was done, that someone decided, chalo Oreva ko de dete hai without going through the due process?
Well, Rajdeep, I would say maybe there was over-enthusiasm on the part of the government, which did not wade the... There would have been two major issues. One is legal issue, and the second is technical issue. And I do not understand what was such a hurry when you are handing over 140 years old bridge to some company which is nowhere close to a bridge company they might be excellent clock manufacturers, but they are not the people who know the bridge, and especially the cable bridge, which was a hanging bridge on the cable, which snapped.
No one senior at Oreva has been touched, Mr. Vyas. Do you believe this is part of an attempt to let off the big fish to avoid embarrassment ahead of the Gujarat elections?
I would not hesitate to agree with it.
Okay, let me leave it there. Jai Narayan Vyas, who's just left the BJP, joining me because no one from the government in Gujarat wants to speak. Appreciate your joining me here on the news today. Let's turn from there to the big meeting of the G20 summit in Bali, where on the sidelines of the summit, missiles today were landing in Poland, leaving 2 Polish residents killed on Tuesday night. While it was initially claimed the missiles were Russian, initial findings suggest that the missile that hit Poland could have been fired by Ukrainian forces as a retaliation at an incoming Russian missile. Now, all of that, of course, has clouded what was happening at the G20 summit, where, remember, the consensus is to stop the war in Ukraine. The group of 7 nations held an emergency meeting after the missile strikes, while NATO and global leaders met and raised concerns that the Ukraine conflict could spill over into its borders.
There is preliminary information that contests that. I don't want to say that till we completely investigate, but it is. It's unlikely in the minds of the trajectory that it was fired from Russia, but we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, let's take a break at this point. When we return, we'll turn to our good news today story, and it comes from Lucknow. A little bit more on the news today. News without the noise.
Armed with facts, she takes the news by its horns.
You think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories. From every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
Welcome back. Tonight's good news today story comes from Lucknow. This is the story of Bhoop Singh, a police constable who's committed himself to educating school children about traffic safety. It's called Traffic Ki Pathshala. Take a look.
Road accidents kill more than 1.5 lakh people every year in India. Yet, most are either unaware of traffic rules or do not follow them. In a unique initiative, Head Constable Bhoop Singh in Lucknow is reaching out to school children to teach them traffic rules.
जो महिला बैठती है वो या तो नंद या सासू माँ बच्चे को ले लेती है और कहती बहू बैठो तो बहू ऐसे करके बैठ जाती है, ऐसे हाथ कर लिया और इसमें लल्ला रख लिया और ऐसे करके एक हाथ लड्डू के पापा को और ये हाथ थक गया, बच्चा सरक गया और वो चली गई घर, बच्चा निकल गया और उन्हें पता ही नहीं कि बच्चा है या नहीं है, वो लड्डू के पापा से मस्त है। तो जब भी आप बैठे उस बच्चे को ऐसा बैठे, पैर या हाथ एक पकड़ के बैठे, जब वो सरके तो बता के तो जाए कहाँ जा रहे हैं।
He runs a traffic ki pathshala that educates school children about safety norms to be followed on the road.
अपनी ईयर छुट्टी लेकर स्वेच्छा से स्कूल कॉलेज में जाके बच्चों को सड़क यातायात के प्रति जागरूक करूंगा ताकि भविष्य में इन नैनहालों की सड़क दुर्घटनाओं में जीवन न जाए।
Bhoop Singh says his drive is to prepare future pedestrians with traffic sense.
पुलिस में सरकार के दौरान कई बार विवश सड़क दुर्घटनाओं के दृश्य देखे तो मुझे लगा कि इनमें काफ़ी ऐसी दुर्घटनाएं थीं जिनको नियमों का पालन या जानकारी होने पर रोका जा सकता था।
Students say they are inspired by the police officer.
सर ने पालन करने के लिए बताया DRCO के बारे में, उसने मतलब हम लोग को बहुत प्रभावित किया है।
सर ने बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया हर चीज़ की, हमेशा लेफ्ट साइड में चलाओ, हेलमेट पहन के चलाओ। बहुत से लोग हेलमेट नहीं यूज़ करते बट सर ने इतने एंटरटेनिंग तरीके से सिखाया कि हमें सब अच्छे से समझ आ गया।
सर हम तो अपनी तरफ से पूरा पालन करेंगे और दूसरों को भी जागरूक करेंगे कि वो पालन करें और जितना हो सके सबको जागरूक करेंगे।
Bhoop Singh, who has completed 23 years in service, says more than 5 lakh children have attended 1051 traffic camps organized by him so far. Bureau Report, India Today.
Nice story to end the show. Our images tonight, the first dramatic footage from the G20 as Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Chinese President Xi are seen in a heated argument as the latter expressed displeasure over details of talk getting leaked to the media.
And that's not how the conversation was conducted. If there is sincerity on your part, free and open and frank dialogue, and that is what we will continue to have. We will continue to look to work constructively together, but there will be things we will disagree on, and we will have to. Let's create the conditions.
That doesn't happen too often in such global meets. Let's turn to our second image, which is NASA's most powerful ever Artemis 1 moon rocket lifting off from Earth. The Orion spacecraft's success paved the way for people to climb aboard for future missions that could go right up to the lunar surface. That's our final image of the day. You stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri, Jai Hind, Namaskar.
Liftoff of Artemis 1. We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
All 4 RS-25 engines on the core stage and 2 solid rocket boosters now propelling the vehicle at 120 miles so far, now 30 seconds into the flight.